Police department responded to a shooting here at Ingalls Shipbuilding just after 7:30 Friday morning, sending the entire facility into lockdown as officials worked to find the shooter.
You got 8,000 people out here, and trying to find someone was pretty difficult.
What does it take to turn a workplace into a crime scene? Not an accident, not a mechanical failure, but a premeditated act of violence? We all walk through security checkpoints. We see the signs. We feel the illusion of safety that routine provides. But what happens when the greatest threat isn't a stranger trying to get in, but a familiar face who's already inside and who has decided to bring his personal war to work? It is one of the most secure industrial facilities in the United States. An 800-acre fortress on the Mississippi coast, protected by layers of security, surrounded by water, and dedicated to a single mission, building the world's most advanced warships for the U.S. Navy. Its purpose is national defense. Its budget is in the billions. And on the morning of August 22nd, 2025, its greatest failure wasn't a structural flaw in a ship. It was a flaw in its very premise. Because the most dangerous weapon that entered the Ingalls Shipbuilding yard that day wasn't smuggled in by a foreign agent. It was walked through the front gate by a 25-year-old painter named Curtis James Jr. His key card worked. His face was known. And in his pocket, he carried a grievance, a gun, and a plan to shatter the illusion of safety for 8,000 people. Welcome to True Crime Unraveled TV. In this channel, we don't just recount the facts. We pull on the threads that others ignore, trying to understand the why behind the what. If you're looking for a perspective you won't find on the nightly news, you're in the right place. Make sure you're subscribed and have notifications on, because what we uncover today changes how you see the world around you. On the morning of August 22nd, 2025, the Ingalls Shipbuilding Yard in Pascagoula, Mississippi, was a city within a city. Over 8,000 people moved through its gates, a massive workforce dedicated to a single purpose, building the powerful warships that defend a nation. It is a place of immense structure, of rules, of controlled access. It is a place where safety is paramount. The air hums with the sound of industry, a constant symphony of progress. This is a place where security isn't just a suggestion, it's a culture. It has to be. The products are literal warships containing sensitive technology. Employees are vetted. Access is controlled. The assumption, the unspoken contract every single worker agrees to, is that the person next to you has passed the same checks you have. That the biggest threats, espionage, sabotage, violence, are external. The system is designed to keep danger out. But what happens when the danger is already in? What happens when the threat isn't a stranger, but a familiar face who has decided that the rules no longer apply to him? The very system designed to create safety, the badges, the familiar routines, became Curtis James Jr.'s perfect camouflage. Among those 8,000 were Tahj Johnson and Curtis James Jr. One was 27 years old, from Pritchard, Alabama, a Vigor High School grad who had once played football and now found his calling as a painter on these colossal vessels. The other, Curtis James Jr., was 25, from Mobile. They were co-workers. They were, by many accounts, friends. They shared the same trade, the same grueling hours, the same paint-stained coveralls. They were two men in a crowd of thousands, invisible to the world outside but known to each other. But Tahj Johnson was so much more than a painter. The pictures and videos from his life tell his real story. They show a young father, his face lit up with a proud smile, his daughter safe in his arms. They capture a man who had just embraced a new chapter of happiness, making his relationship with his girlfriend, pretty Algeria Hunter, official in the months before his death. His social media was a testament to the joy he found in his family. Her posts after his murder are a heart-wrenching window into that love, now shattered. She called him her husband. Her words painted a picture of a future stolen, writing of her deep love for him and the profound agony of her loss. "Your baby is hurt right now, Tahj," she wrote. "I just need you right now." This was a man deeply loved, a life filled with promise, brutally cut short. This human context is what makes the rumors that followed so cruel. In the wake of the shooting, a sensational narrative took hold online, suggesting an affair. But Tahj's family, especially his sister, launched a fierce defense of his character. She vehemently denied the claims, stating the motive was far simpler and darker. Curtis's pride had been wounded days earlier when Tahj bested him in a fight. She fought not just for her brother's memory, but for the truth of who he was: a father, a partner, a son, not a tabloid headline. So we are left with two conflicting stories. One of complex romantic betrayal, one of simple, bruised ego. But both stories lead to the same inexorable point on the deck of that ship. But that familiarity had curdled in the days leading up to that Friday. According to Pascagoula Police Chief Terry Scott, there had been a disagreement. A physical altercation. In fact, days prior, away from the shipyard. A fight that Curtis James had lost. To the outside world, it might have been just a scuffle between young men. But for Curtis, was it something more? Was a bruised ego festering into something far more dangerous? Was the humiliation of losing a fight to a friend a wound that refused to close? This is the core of the mystery that no police report can truly solve. We may never know the exact words exchanged that lit this fuse. But we can identify the fuel: pride, humiliation, the toxic, irrational belief that a perceived slight can only be washed away with blood. This wasn't a sophisticated motive. It was a primitive one. And that's what makes it so terrifyingly effective at bypassing all modern security. Metal detectors can find a gun, but they can't detect a bruised ego. Security guards can check a badge, but they can't see the resentment building behind the eyes of the man holding it. Curtis James Jr. didn't hack the mainframe. He exploited the one vulnerability every security system in the world shares. It's run by and for human beings. And human beings are flawed. This is the central, haunting question. Because on that Friday morning, Curtis James Jr. did not come to work just to paint. He came to work armed. He passed through the daily rhythms of arrival. He navigated the pathways of the 800-acre facility, and he found Tahj Johnson on the deck of the future USS Jeremiah Denton, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, a symbol of American strength that became the backdrop for a profound personal failure. The sound that ripped through the industrial din wasn't a tool dropping or a piece of metal shifting. It was a gunshot, then another. In a place where every sound has a purpose, this one had only one: to end a life. Tahj Johnson was hit twice. He died there on the ship he helped build. What followed was a silence more deafening than the shots. For a moment, chaos was held at bay by sheer disbelief. Then, the shipyard's emergency systems kicked in. Texts and emails blasted out to every employee: active shooter, shelter in place. Imagine that. Imagine being one of those 8,000, hearing those words in a place you consider a second home. The fear is not abstract. It's locked in with you. And where was Curtis James? He didn't run. He didn't make a dramatic stand. Police say he did something perhaps more chilling in its calculation. He tried to disappear. He holstered his weapon, a weapon that, to this day, has never been found, and he simply melted back into the workforce. He walked among his terrified coworkers, a wolf hiding in the flock, waiting for the storm to pass. Think about the sheer, terrifying genius of this. In the immediate aftermath of the shots, the protocol worked. The lockdown was initiated. Thousands of people sheltered in place. The gates were sealed. The entire facility was locked down tight, a sealed box. And the killer was trapped inside with everyone else. But he wasn't panicking. He was relying on it. By blending in, by becoming just another scared face in the crowd, he used the lockdown, the very measure designed to contain him, as his shield. For over an hour, he wasn't a shooter on the run. He was a potential victim, waiting to be rescued. The system, in its frantic effort to control the chaos, became his accomplice. It took law enforcement an hour and 27 minutes to find him. They didn't find him through a dramatic chase. They found him through meticulous, painstaking work, by working with Ingalls Security to methodically break those 8,000 people into smaller and smaller groups, isolating and identifying until they found the man who didn't belong in the narrative of a victim. They cornered him in a warehouse. He offered no resistance. He was just a man who had already done what he set out to do. Now, the obvious question, the one everyone asked, is how? How does a man get a gun into one of the most secure industrial facilities in the country? Ingalls President Brian Blanchett called it a controlled facility, restricted to employees with clear rules. The police chief admitted, "I have no idea how he got on with the gun." The answer is likely terrifyingly simple. It wasn't smuggled in a delivery truck or thrown over a fence. It was probably on his person, concealed, walked right through the door. Because the greatest weakness in any security system isn't its technology, it's the assumption that everyone who is supposed to be there belongs there. Curtis James belonged there. His ID badge was his greatest weapon of deception. But the how is just mechanics. The why is the true mystery. And this is where the story fractures. In the immediate aftermath, a narrative exploded online, a classic crime of passion. The story went that Curtis had discovered an affair between Tahj and his wife, that he had shot his wife first, then driven to work to finish what he started. It was a tidy, sensational story, but it was almost entirely false. Police confirmed no other victims. There was no murdered wife. The motive, Chief Scott would later clarify, appeared to be that simplest and oldest of poisons, over a girl. But even that is vague, a placeholder for a complex human emotion we may never fully understand. And the family of Tahj Johnson pushed back fiercely against the character assassination. His sister took to social media with a raw, defiant anger. She wrote, and I'm paraphrasing here, "Stop the lies. There was no affair. My brother beat him in a fight on Tuesday, and his pride was hurt. He couldn't take a loss." So, which is it? A crime of romantic betrayal? Or a crime of wounded pride? Perhaps it's both. Perhaps the girl was the catalyst for the initial fight that Curtis lost. The public loss. The humiliation that festered for 2 days as he went to work, side by side with the man who had bested him. Every glance, every joke, every casual interaction could have been twisted in his mind into a further slight. The gun didn't introduce the violence. It was just the tool that finalized a decision that had already been made in his mind. He didn't snap. He simmered, and then he boiled over in the most catastrophic way possible. In the end, we are left with 2 ruined lives. Tahj Johnson, a young father, is gone. His daughter will grow up with only photographs and stories. His family is left to defend his character against salacious rumors. A poster for his funeral services, filled with his photograph, is the final, heartbreaking proof of a life reduced to memory. Curtis James Jr. sits in a cell in the Jackson County Jail, charged with murder, his entire future extinguished for a reason that, in the cold light of day, seems so pitifully small. The Ingalls Shipyard has resumed its work. The warships are being built. But for the 8,000 people who clock in every day, the illusion of absolute safety is gone. They now know that the most dangerous thing that can walk through those gates isn't a tool or a machine, but an emotion, unchecked anger, festering pride, a personal grievance carried in someone's pocket, right next to their employee ID. This was more than a workplace shooting. This was a failure of humanity in a place built on precision. It's a stark reminder that the most complex security system in the world cannot defend against the chaos of the human heart. And perhaps the most haunting, enduring symbol of this entire tragedy is what's missing. The murder weapon. Despite a massive search involving dive teams and countless officers, the gun used to kill Tahj Johnson has never been found. It vanished somewhere within that 800-acre compound. It's a ghost in the machine. A permanent, unsettling reminder that on that day, the system was not just breached, it was contaminated. A tool designed for ultimate violence was introduced into a place of creation, and then it simply disappeared. It's the final, chilling piece of the puzzle that refuses to be put away. So, what is the lesson to be unraveled from this tragedy? It's a difficult one. We can't metal detect a broken heart. We can't frisk someone for pride. The ultimate lesson is that while we must have systems and protocols, while we must have gates and guards and rules, our true first line of defense is each other. It's the courage to check in on a coworker who seems consumed by anger. It's the wisdom to de-escalate a conflict rather than win it. It's creating an environment where someone feels they can say, "I'm not okay," without feeling weak. The hardest security to build isn't technological, it's cultural, it's human. And in the end, it's the only thing that can truly defend against the chaos of the human heart. What do you think was the true catalyst? Was this a premeditated act of revenge planned over days, or an impulsive moment of rage that exploded on the deck of that ship? The police may have their conclusion, but the court of public opinion always has room for debate. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's have a conversation about this. If this perspective, this look behind the curtain of security and emotion, resonates with you, then you need to be part of this community. Help us unravel these stories by subscribing to the channel here on YouTube and hitting the bell. Follow the investigation across all platforms on our TikTok and Facebook for exclusive content you won't find anywhere else. Search for True Crime Unraveled. We're not just telling stories, we're examining the fractures in the world we think we understand. Thank you for watching. Stay vigilant.